3. I will be your timer. You have 15 minutes. When your time is up, or as you approach the end, I will give you a 5-minute warning, a 3-minute warning, and a 1-minute warning. And then after we call time, there will be a 5-minute questioning period by the judges. Okay, just a moment. You may begin now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Town Hall meeting. Today is April 22nd, 1961, and we are a group of environmental activists here to speak for the San Francisco Bay. We're going to talk about 3 things: the significance of the Bay, the problems facing the Bay, and our proposed solutions for those problems. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to fully understand the problems facing the Bay, we must first understand the significance of the Bay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am an environmental activist, speaking on behalf of soil, one of the most significant silent voices of the Bay. To truly understand the significance of the Bay, we must first learn about the role in which soil plays within the San Francisco Bay. Soil is first off a renewable resource. This is because precipitation infiltrates soil, replenishing our source of groundwater, one of our most significant sources of drinking water. This process is called natural recharge. Not only the soil does this, but soil also breaks down harmful pollutants into less damaging ones. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I speak on behalf of fish and birds of the San Francisco Bay, as well as concerned individuals. An estuary like the San Francisco Bay is considered the nursery of the sea. It serves as a habitat for a vast amount of species, ranging from the depths of the ocean to the clear blue skies. It serves as a resting point for migratory birds, such as the avocet, the fallow, and the Canadian geese. These migrating birds fly on the Pacific Flyway, ranging from all the way from Alaska to Patagonia, and the San Francisco Bay happens to be that resting spot. At this resting spot, these birds feed and recharge their energy for the continued flight ahead. These estuaries also serve as a spawning ground for several types of fish, such as halibut, croaker, and the steelhead. The rich waters of the estuary makes it an ideal location for spawning. Tell me, have you ever had a delicious, mouth-watering, succulent piece of fish for dinner? Well, chances are, if that estuary were not to exist, that piece of dinner you had last night wouldn't be there.
One of the most valuable markers revealing the health of the bay is submerged aquatic vegetation. Widgeon grass and eelgrass stabilize bottom and provide cover for California fiddler crabs and young spot, and places to light for bay shrimp and California horn snails. Submerged aquatic vegetation also is food for diving ducks, and when it decomposes, for microorganisms that support the entire food chain. The San Francisco Bay also serves as a hatchery for 3 important California species: the Pacific salmon, California Dungeness crab, and the California halibut. Damage done to the estuary may vitally alter the ecosystem.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am here today to represent the voice of water and make an appeal to you about the importance of wetlands in the context of its value in the filtration of pollutants and provision to the water supply. Wetlands are significant to our environment because, for one, they act as a filter in the watershed system. Approximately 40% of California's water drains into the San Francisco Bay before going into the ocean. A projected amount of about 92% of phosphorus and 95% of nitrogen is cleaned by the water passing through the wetland. This, if it was not cleaned, could cause eutrophication and deplete the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water. They also allow groundwater recharge to occur in surrounding mineral-rich soils, regulating water levels of aquifers. Considering that more than 1/6 of the world's population lack access to adequate clean drinking water, the groundwater collected from wetlands is crucial to our water supply.
The bay has great recreational and economic value. Tourism, fisheries, and other coastal activities thrive on the wealth of resources the estuary supplies. The protected coastal waters of estuaries also support important public infrastructure, serving as harbors and ports, vital for shipping and transportation. The bay provides habitat for the majority of California's commercial and recreational fish catch. The bay also delivers the resources for agriculture. The bay is one of the biggest rice exporters in the world, generating millions every year. The bay is depended on for thousands of jobs, and is a sustainable economic generator due to things such as tourism. Coastal recreation and tourism alone generate almost $500 million a year. The bay is an irreplaceable natural resource, which must be handled with care for the mutual benefit of those who enjoy it, for those who depend on it.
The current problem affecting soil within the San Francisco Bay Estuary is urban stormwater runoff. To clarify, urban stormwater runoff is water runoff that does not infiltrate the soil due to the sedimentation of the soil. This is severely damaging because the cement will prevent the infiltration within soil, altering the natural recharge cycle, depleting our source of groundwater. Ladies and gentlemen, we are depleting our important source of groundwater. We drink this water. Would you want this for your future generations? By removing soil, we are also blocking soil from breaking down into harmful pollutants, into less damaging substances, contributing to pollution rather than mitigating it. The problem facing the San Francisco Bay today includes legacy pollution, specifically hydraulic mining of the gold mines during the 1850s. As a result of this problem, sediment builds up. Further in the process of obtaining gold, miners use mercury to extract gold of other substances. Ultimately, mercury is released into the San Francisco Bay for the sake of gold. The result of this, of the pollutants, include bioaccumulation, which is the buildup of mercury within a tissue of fish within the estuary. This would eventually further into biomagnification, where other fish are poisoned by eating the already infected fish. This would eventually reach to us and the birds when we eat the fish. This would result in deformities in infants and would result in brain damage to our children.
Another problem affecting the bay is sewage. Some of the different forms of sewage are biodegradable animal waste and plant debris. Sewage depletes the dissolved oxygen needed by aquatic species in the bay. Sewage also causes an increase in bacteria, viruses, and parasites, which play a deadly role in the bay through the diseases the bacteria, fungi, and parasites produce.
One concern arising in the bay is the effects of agricultural runoff. Food production is a non-point source of pollution for fertilizers, animal manure, and pesticides. As the water passes through the farms, it carries dirt and leads it into the bay, increasing the salinity of the water. Excess nutrients are also collected and deposited in the bay in a process called eutrophication. These excess amounts of nitrates and phosphates promote an increase in algal bloom, which depletes the amount of dissolved oxygen needed by estuarine wildlife.
One problem affecting the bay is industrial pollution. One type of water pollutant is organic chemicals. These organic chemicals add toxins to the water and harmfully affect aquatic systems. Examples of these organic chemicals are oil, gasoline, plastics, pesticides, and cleaning solvents. These sources are largely industrial and residential output.
I propose we create and pass legislation which mandates that every piece of infrastructure created an area with open soil, parallel to that of which has been cemented. The legislation will also create pathways which would lead runoffs to open area of soil. This is a win-win situation because they will replenish the groundwater within the soil, increasing natural recharge. Harmful pollutants from runoff would also drain into the soil, where it could break down to less harmful substances. This legislation with slogan, saving our important liquid, codenamed soil. For the mercury problem, we propose a two-step solution. The first solution involves called anti-pollutants, a legislation which mandates the prohibition of chemicals to be released into estuaries like the San Francisco Bay. This way, pollutants like mercury will be prevented in the future. Solution 2 is simply to advocate the need over want slogan. The reason why mercury is in the San Francisco Bay in the first place is because people wanted gold, not because they needed it. We need to make people realize what we need, which is the San Francisco Bay, an entity more rich than gold. Step 1 would take no longer than 5 years to complete, and at a cost which is reasonable, considering we are using it to saving a resource that can be used by our children, our children's children, and so on. Step 2 can take immediate action by advocating the need over want slogan in school, so students of the future know what the San Francisco estuary is and why it's a necessity. We need to keep in mind that the San Francisco Bay can easily be taken away, but impossible to replace.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do we really want dead plants, animals, and sick people?
I don't know, do we?
Well, of course not, which is why we should implement a wastewater treatment act, demanding that each municipality create their own wastewater treatment plant to mitigate sewage pollution. This act will generate revenues from fines and service fees. So, as historian Thomas Fuller once said, we never know the worth of water until the well is dry.
Because agriculture is not something we could replace or get rid of, I suggest the implementation of a proposed Waste Management Act, which enforces waste management strategies and bans the dumping of animal manure into any body of water. Also, instead of using pesticides and fertilizers, we could try engaging in other agricultural practices such as intercropping and crop rotations, which are better alternatives. These proposals ideally needed to be implemented years ago, but because we haven't done so, the time is now to take action.
A solution to the issue of industrial output of pollutants is to make a federal law that provides protection of the scenic, scientific, historic, and ecological values of federal lands for public involvement in their management. Another solution which complies with the problem of industrial pollution should be the encouragement of biodegradable material. To do so, we must dedicate time and money to finding and creating these earth-friendly materials. Funding for this research may come from funds generated from breaking environmental laws. Other ways of funding is through creating environmental taxes. And for those of you who think paying for taxes is expensive, let me ask you all to try to imagine a world without the San Francisco Bay. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are interconnected problems of a complex global proportion. And solving one does not solve the other. We must put our heads together and plan for long-term sustainable development. The plan involves saving and preserving the resources in the bay for our children and future generations. We have to protect our water, we must protect our soil. To protect our soil, we must protect our air. But in the end, who will protect humans from ourselves? So, ladies and gentlemen, the best time to implement solutions was 100 years ago. The second best time is now. Thank you for your time.
I have a question. For all